Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world right now, I hope you're having a beautiful day and welcome to the Polyhedra Show. So today we're talking about securing liquidity, one of the biggest challenges in DeFi for sure. Moving assets across chains can still be very complicated, and that's exactly what this partnership with AnyAlt is looking to fix. Today, we're joined by Trust Onyekwere from AnyAlt to break down how they're simplifying cross-chain liquidity for protocols and users. And leading today's conversation, we have Polyhedra's Chief Strategy Officer, of course, Eric Vreeland, the ultimate market maker, but for great questions, who will be digging into how all of this ties into the bigger picture of blockchain infrastructure. We've had some absolutely great questions from the community from this show. So let's get straight into it. Eric and Trust, over to you guys.
Awesome, Anthony. Thanks for the beautiful introduction. Excited to be here again. Welcome, Trust. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, good. Thank you. Hi, everyone.
Awesome.
I'm all right.
Before we kind of jump into the heavy stuff, for those of our audience that may not be familiar with AnyAlt, can you share, maybe give us the elevator pitch? What is AnyAlt trying to solve? And specifically, I guess, what is your role at AnyAlt as well?
Okay, yeah. So my name is Trust, as earlier mentioned. I lead developer relations at AnyAlt. So AnyAlt, it's an aggregator of DEXs, bridges, and RAMs. The idea is to help protocols easily move liquidity within their protocols from other chains. So we're helping them perform last mile transactions and cross-chain liquidity movements within their platform easily.
Got it. And I did see that kind of tagline on the website, the last mile transactions, and that stood out to me. I've actually, been in kind of this same space, the interoperability space, for a while, and so very interested in this problem. But I guess what does last mile transactions kind of mean for you guys?
Yeah, so basically, right, so we know that there are different kind of transactions that different protocols have as priority. So what we do is we give them the customization to set or customize whatever transaction they want to set for end users to eventually get to the destination transaction at the end. From beginning to the end, they can customize that to have their own last mile transaction in code. That's what it means for us.
Cool. Got it. And I know that you guys, weren't always focused on this problem, that you guys were really kind of going deep into CDFI, and then now have really focused on this developer SDK for last mile transactions. What kind of inspired you guys to make this pivot from a CDFI platform to an SDK widget for cross-chain liquidity?
Yeah, so yeah, we this start out as a CD5 platform, but then that did offer convenience, but it also came with some trade-offs as well. They were, conducive at risk, the lack of transparency, and most important for us is the limited flexibility for developers or builders to eventually build. And so by pivoting into an SDK and a widget, the end goal is to now empower these protocols or project to integrate cross-chain liquidity solutions into the applications directly, giving them full control over the user's experience while maintaining this decentralization. And of course, without building additional infrastructure, in that way. So the shift for us aligns with being developer first too, that prioritizes and help to solve the cross-chain problem, transaction problem that we have.
Yeah, I think that's a common theme across, I think you're maybe the fourth or fifth guest we've had on this kind of ecosystem version of the Polyhedra show. And I think one consistent theme that we're seeing is, that projects really need to make it easier for developers to utilize their tools. And so, excited to learn more about the SDK and hear about how easy it is to integrate your product into their applications. I'm assuming it's going to be very simple, which is what we need, because I think that the kind of development process for a lot of blockchain technologies has been pretty complicated, and that has been a huge point of friction for projects and for onboarding developers onto blockchain for a long time. And maybe we'll talk about it in this question, which is, what do you think the biggest pain points right now are for protocols when it comes to onboarding liquidity, and how do you guys approach that problem, and how did you guys solve that problem, or how are you hoping to solve that problem?
Yeah, so the primary problem is the fragmentation of liquidity. So because liquidity is spread across multiple chains, it's difficult for protocols to attract users from these different chains. And then we also have, because of this problem, there's a complex or lack of a proper user experience. I mean, the protocols are experiencing high drop-off rates because users often have to navigate multiple steps themselves, from bridging to swapping to move assets, and they drop off, along the way. And again, we have high gas fees and inefficient routes to get to the last mile transaction, like earlier mentioned. And so users end up paying more because they're trying to swap and bridge. And so all these are problems, pain points that protocols or projects are having, in this sense. So for us in AnyAuth, the solution to this, of course, the AI, the AnyAuth engine, we'll talk about that later, is still evolving to fix this, but we are aggregating the access bridges and ramps, like we mentioned, providing a single interface for users to move assets across chain. And because of this, the UX is simplified. And so the AnyAuth engine automates the route optimization and remove the complexity of this, of manually choosing or looking for bridge and routes away from the users. And again, we're looking to implement fiat integration later. And so this also lowers the barriers of entry for new users on chain as well.
Got it. And I think one of the products or tools that I think we're starting to see get some significant momentum are the token standards that the teams like Axelar and Layer Zero are building with the OFT and the interchain token standard. How does that? How do you guys think about that as it fits into what you're building? Do you think that? And what are your general takes on these token standards? Like, do you think that they kind of become the default for new tokens launching, or I would love to get your insight into that.
Yeah, so definitely, I mean, all these new standards are helpful because, of course, we've tried a few things in the past. And so we are, of course, welcoming new experimentations and innovations around this. I think time will tell, right? I'm optimistic that this will solve the problems, but again, time will tell as to what the scope of the solution would it definitely bring on board. I'm really excited about this integrations of standards. But again, right, the entire solution, no matter what standard is going to be brought about, does it fix the main problem? If the answer is yes, then it's all good, right? Then we can definitely use it.
And I think one of the things that is kind of funny to me is when I ask that question, it's like I mentioned two token standards, but there's a dozen token standards out there that are trying to compete to become the token standard that is adopted. And we're trying to solve liquidity fragmentation, but we're just introducing liquidity fragmentation in kind of a new way, because now, you just have to solve, okay, how do we move from this token standard to this token standard? And we've kind of just shifted the problem maybe a step further back to the token standard as the reason that there is liquidity fragmentation, as opposed to just the tokens themselves.
True.
So let's dive a little bit deeper into the technology and what makes AnyAuth work, which is the AnyAuth engine. I think people on here, and especially the developers that might be thinking about using and integrating with AnyAuth, would be interested to understand, how do you guys solve the problem? How do you find the best transaction route across dexes, across bridges, across on-ramps, and give users, the best possible experience out there?
Yeah, so the AnyAuth engine is at the center of our solution, right? And so the reason why it's at the center is because the AnyAuth engine is what determines the optimal transaction route to follow and solves problems on both ends, especially for user experience. So there are basically about 4 or 5 factors that the engine considers before determining the best route to take. So the first is liquidity availability. So is there sufficient liquidity on dexes or bridges for the desired transaction? Comparing gas fees, so gas costs. So what is the cheapest, the minimized cost across this movement of the route? Transaction speed, right? So the engine takes a look at what's the fastest way to execute this transaction, and user wallet balances. So the engine checks the user's wallet balances across chain to determine the most efficient starting point. And then lastly, of course, the slippage fees and all. So the engine takes care of all of this at the back end, and the user just has to click and approve a few transactions, then it's all good, right? So because we are aggregating and partnering with this DEXs and the RAMs, the engine is now routing through all of this components to now figure out what's the best transaction for that to happen. I could give an example. Let's say, for example, a user wants to deposit, say, 1,000 USDT from Ethereum into a protocol's vault on Base. So the first step would be that the user has to initiate a transaction. So the user selects 1,000 USDT on Ethereum as the input, and then the protocol's vault on Base as the destination. Now, the NAOT engine now analyzes and checks the user's wallets for balances across chain, and then evaluates what's the available route, swapping, bridging, what's the best route to take, considers the gas fees, and then allows the user to confirm the approved the route, and it executes it. And that's like the steps, right? So from initiation to execution, everything happens on the back end, and the user doesn't really have to get involved with manually doing it themselves. So that's exactly how it works in a very simplified way, if I could explain it that like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like there's a lot going on under the hood to hopefully obfuscate that complexity to the end user. What do you think was the most difficult part for you guys to solve? Like, what was kind of the aha moment when you're like, we nailed this problem. Now we have something truly special.
Yeah, so I think it's the last mile transaction. I know I keep saying it because unlike yeah, so unlike probably similar solutions to this, they do not offer customization for last mile transactions. And so that is for us one of the things I would say yes, despite the fact that we are for all of this, items, but this right here is the aha moment for us, allowing protocols to control what last mile transaction looks like for them.
Got it. And I know that you guys are taking kind of a non-custodial approach to improve security and control for protocols and their users. Can you talk us through that decision and why you think that this was the right approach to kind of approach this problem from?
Yeah, so we want protocols and users to retain full control over their assets, right? Because for us, that improves trust and security. So while we deal on security for the bridges, we do not want to take all of those, security risks on our own end. And so for us, two things: it improves the trust on NEOT and also enhance security for us. So we just want them to control the assets, basically.
And so then now, I mean, now like you said, the risk or is still, you're still utilizing these bridges, but the user has transparency and visibility into the route that's being taken and has to sign these transactions and approve this uh, pathway for their particular swap or bridge, whatever it is. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Got it. Okay. And let's talk about, I guess let's dive a little bit more into kind of security and specifically ZK and polyhedra. How do you guys, what do you guys envision as kind of the future of security for this type of flow? And how do you guys envision zero knowledge playing a part in in what you guys are building?
Yeah, so there, of course, we are definitely experimenting on a few items, but then ZK would definitely help, like you mentioned, about security. So there are a lot of, because we're taking so many internal, not really say risk, but because we have bridges on here, we have other things on here. When we decide to eventually get rid of all of these components, because of course, like we'll talk later, there are different milestones we aim to achieve. Once we get to that milestone, then we can take a look at ZK. But I think that yes, with the Polyhydra team, we've been in communication on how we can, sing together to approve it. But I think that what we are building at the moment, no doubt, will definitely, require a ZK long term. But right now, at the moment, we don't have a use case for that.
Yeah, I think one starting point is for transactions that are larger in volume or value, that require, or where the user is willing to, you know, wants to ensure or add some additional security to that transaction or to that bridge or that bridge and swap, um, you know, layering on a level of ZK verification to ensure that, the transaction is valid and that the entire route is going to be processed correctly, might be something that would give someone, help alleviate some of their anxiety. Because I mean, still today, having been in the space for a while, pushing that button to do a cross-chain swap is kind of one of the most anxiety-inducing things that you can do on chain, especially in that moment where it's like, okay, the funds have left my wallet. Now I'm just sitting here waiting. And, having been in the Discord for ZK Bridge and previously at Layer Zero, a large percentage of the requests are like, hey, I executed this and my funds haven't been received yet. Where are they? And it's, almost always, okay, they're on their way. There's, it's just taking some time. But, you put yourself in the user's shoes and it's like, I just want to make sure that my funds aren't lost in the ether. No pun intended. So I know you guys are really getting ready to kind of do this big public launch of your SDK, and probably have been spending a lot of time onboarding different applications to get ready to start, really sending significant volume through AnyAlt. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you're working with, or some of the other projects that you're working with, and how AnyAlt has improved that user experience?
Yeah, so one of the exciting integration and partnerships for the NEOT SDK is Adna Finance. So Adna Finance is one protocol or project that we're definitely integrating with, and we're happy about it. So the use case for Adna is regarding deposits, and so being able to receive deposits no matter where the user is coming from, no matter where the source of the funds are on chain. And so we've definitely seen other requests, from Adna Finance to improve a few things, but ultimately we've seen exciting from the Adna team. We've definitely seen promises that this would definitely reduce drop-offs and, of course, increase TVLs for them as well. But there are other projects who are waiting for launch, and then they can we currently have about 25 in the wait list, right?
Yeah.
We're definitely sure to integrate about 7 of them immediately, and then move across that as well. So yeah, Ana, it's definitely one of the protocols that we are really happy to work with on this.
Amazing. And maybe now is the appropriate time to get into exactly what that integration process looks like for the developers on here who are thinking about, getting in touch with you and utilizing AnyAlt. What is the, from I've identified I want to use AnyAlt to having it integrated in my application. What does that process look like?
Yeah, so the integrations for AnyAlt widgets is 10 minutes or less. So we are aiming at a plug and play integration, which means developers, the protocols do not really have to spend too much time on integrating the widgets, or really, because the idea is that, oh, you don't need to manage your infrastructure, use the AnyAlt SDK. So because the SDK comes with other templates, that makes it easy to integrate. So developers just need to, okay, I want to use the AnyAlt SDK. Documentation is there. Of course, install dependencies all in your front end, and you deploy. So that's your use case, fix your last minute transaction, and it definitely works. So less than 10 minutes, the SDK can be used and integrated. So we are aiming for a plug and play integration as well.
That's amazing. And I'm interested to maybe learn a little bit more about these templates. What do you envision are going to be some of the most popular kind of templates that you guys are building out to make this integration process easier?
Yeah, so templates are based on the use cases. So the different use cases, from pre-sales to IDOs to NFC purchases to staking. So all of these use cases will have different templates so that it is easier for protocols to have these unique use cases to simply take and just put in their own details and deploy. So that's basically how it looks. So the templates are based off of the use cases.
Amazing. Yeah. So now we have, this incredible customizability of AnyAlt, but that can probably be overwhelming to some developers who are starting or staring at a blank canvas. And now you have all of these use cases with templates populated where maybe they need to make minor tweaks in order to make it work for their specific use case within that. That sounds amazing. So, let's say end of this year, you guys are looking back on 2025. What will you guys have accomplished to consider 2025 a success for the AnyAlt team?
Yeah, so for us, success looks like over 100 protocols using the SDK actively, and expanding chain support, because currently the SDK supports Solana and Ethereum and all Ethereum L2s. So at the end of the year, we're definitely looking forward to expand the support as well. And again, the success for us also looks like expanding the use cases as well, because the templates are based off of about 9 use cases, and so we also want to expand use cases as well and get feedback for that. So in summary, what we're looking at, what's going to make it, oh, this is a good year for AnyAlt, is the expansion of chain support, protocol adoption, 100 plus as the goal, and yeah, that's basically the two things we're looking at.
Amazing. Well, we're really excited to get AnyAlt support on EXP chain, our layer 1 network. But besides that, what maybe for the people in the audience a little alpha, what other kind of layer 1s are you guys looking at and excited about? I know there was a big mainnet launch today or recently, but any other chains that you guys are looking at that you can share?
Looking at, yeah, that I can share. Yes, definitely. So because so far during the whole alpha and beta testing phases, I've seen interest with projects who are on the Ton chain.
Yep.
And because of mobile support, you could have mobile support yet for the SDK. So because of the increased number of mobile support requests, the Ton is most likely the next chain we're looking at for that particular purpose. Yeah, the others are still in the works, but that's what I can share at the moment.
Amazing. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Crypto doesn't sleep, and so a lot of people are trying to do stuff on their phones. I love it. Okay, let's continue down this path about kind of forward looking into the future. You alluded to the big milestones for you guys, but yeah, what are we looking forward to on the roadmap as far as big milestones and SDK capabilities and protocol adoption coming up over the course of this year?
Yeah, so for the SDK capabilities, definitely improving a lot on dynamic routing. So the engine, not engine, is pretty good, right? But we definitely have to improve it. And perhaps, of course, we've seen the emergence of AI agents and all. So we could be looking into that direction to also enhance the routing using AI. So we're also looking at adding fiat supports to the SDK before the year runs out. And so the two SDK improvements, additions, we're looking at after the launch before the year ends.
Got it. And do you see, a world in where kind of this liquidity aggregation and on-ramps start to become more automated? I guess you just kind of mentioned, this integration with AI agents or the utilization of AI agents for this. But I get, to build on that, how do you see cross-chain liquidity evolving over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, so of course, like you said, crypto doesn't sleep. So there are lots of movement and changes. So I think that, of course, putting AI into the picture, even though, yes, AI agents are becoming a lot more popular, we also have to have more real use cases. The utility for AI agents just has to be justified as well. And even though AI is coming, we still need to fix the primitive problems. And liquidity movement, crutching liquidity is a primitive issue that has to be fixed. So looking, forward, we definitely need to see. We've seen standards like the IBC, intra blockchain communication, and layer zero protocols coming, like you mentioned, standards and all. So there has to be a way where they are unified, or the interoperability between the standards just has to become a lot better in the next 35 years. And also unified liquidity pools. So because you mentioned that this being fragmented, it just has to be uh, uh, unity between bridge and dexes to get dex across the chains as well. And what I think is also going to support all of this, future expectations is institutional adoption, right? Because as cross-chain solution mature, institutions need to feel more comfortable to participate in DeFi and driving liquidity growth as well. So that's basically for me what I think that the next 3-4 years looks like liquidity cross-chain wise.
Awesome, amazing. Well, this was super insightful. I know, as always, we got probably hundreds of questions from the community. So I'm going to bring Anthony back up here. I know he's been pouring through the chat, picking out the best ones, and let's see what he's got for us. Oh, you're muted, I think, Anthony.
Apologies for that. That was that was really great chat, and yeah, thank you, Trust, for giving us the insights and the lowdown about any alt. With the community, I just want to tell you guys, I did tell them, I'm like, look, if there's any more questions you want to drop live, and they have come hard and fast. I think a lot of them you guys did definitely get to, especially towards the end there. Obviously the SDK, being able to install that in less than 10 minutes, like that's pretty incredible. And Eric, yeah, I can definitely tell you a few people commenting, but likewise, I've had that heart in your throat moment with bridging for sure. I think a lot of these questions are quite technical, and I think you guys have answered them quite beautifully. So we've had some really, really creative questions come in from the community that I'd love to put to you guys. A lot more creative than usual, actually. So it's very, very cool, and community, keep them coming. So here's one. Let me check. So many to choose from. So will AI and blockchain merge into one unified system, or will they remain separate technologies?
So yeah, I mean, I think that they will remain separate technologies, but of course, going to be a convergence of both. They'll meet at a point. Why AI would definitely help, like you just mentioned, AI agents coming to do that, but at the same time, it's still enabling what we're trying to do on the blockchain. So the blockchain is a blockchain, AI is AI, but they can of course come together to assist each other. But at the same time, I don't think they're going to ever be to remain the same. They would separate, but they would help each other in different cases. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you reframe that question and you were to say, are AI and computers going to merge into one unified system, or will they remain separate? Like, it's a weird area to kind of get into, right? Because AI needs computation to exist, and so all AI will live on a computer or a decentralized computational network. But will you be able to have a computer that doesn't have AI on it? Probably. I'm sure there will be some paranoid people that, have watched Terminator 2. I think this is the second time on this show I've referenced Terminator, that may, have their computer that's, completely off the grid, off the internet, untouched by any AI. But, there will obviously be a lot of overlap.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this vein that we're on with the futurism, because I know you guys were just talking about, like, you mentioned the 5-year outlook, Eric, but our community's actually taken it one step further, and they've asked to fast forward 10 years. So what does the financial system look like in 10 years and beyond? Well, DeFi and traditional finance have merged, or do you think they'll always be separate?
10 years. 10 years is 2035. Yeah. Will it have merged? I don't think it would, right? Because there are still fundamental issues that is preventing it from happening now. And I think that they'll still be in existence. But we're definitely going to we'll make progress, good progress, but not entirely, scrapping away, TradFi, traditional finance, becoming digitalized finance. That's my take. We'll make progress, but we'll definitely have cash. Yeah, we cannot take that away.
Yeah, I think
in 10 years. In 10 years, yeah.
I think if you look at my bank account, it's very close to moving away from cash. Let's put it.
Likewise.
But I would say beyond that, beyond the technical issues that we have to overcome to make this a reality, you also have to realize there is a human element, there is a jobs element, there's an economic element. Like, there are a lot of people that have a vested interest in keeping the financial system the way that it is. And so it is not just a technical problem that we have to solve. Will the technology be able to do everything that we want it to do in 10 years? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Will it be there? I think I agree with Trust. I think that there's going to be a lot of friction, and there's going to be a lot of people that want things to stay the same. And that's kind of the fight that we're fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it comes down to how frictionless it becomes, because I definitely agree with you, Eric. I've probably moved pretty far away from traditional finance at this point.
Yeah, I mean, people. One thing I've heard is whenever you are kind of moving to a technological revolution, it's not enough to have something that's 100% better, 1x better. It's not even good enough to have something that's 10x better. You really need something that's like 100x better before you can really cross that chasm. And people are like, okay, you're right, it's worth it, let's move. And obviously that's maybe a little bit of an exaggeration, but if you think about, there's a lot of people who are very happy with their bank and their mobile app and the ability to use Venmo to move money, and like, they don't have a huge problem with it. So I think we need to get to that point where the experience is significantly better than the status quo before we're going to see a tectonic shift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it makes sense. I guess as well, like, people still send letters, and not everyone's just emailing, and so you never know. Yeah, like, there'll still always be those legacy solutions. But yeah, very interesting to hear your guys' opinions. I've got one here for you, Trust. I think this is really interesting. Obviously, like, you're already working on it, but this is a quite a creative question. So, if I handed you $1 billion war chest, or say a few $1 billion war chests, to fix the liquidity issues once and for all, what would you build?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say put it into any out, but yeah, I'll answer the question.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but yeah. So I think I will design a decentralized AI-powered liquidity network. It's going to be a global cross-chain protocol that integrates AI, blockchain, and reward finance to create self-sustaining liquidity ecosystem. And so there are three components that I'm thinking about right now. So one is the AI component of it, so AI-driven liquidity engine, which will adjust liquidity allocation, predict market trends, and optimize trading pairs across sets and dexes. And second component is the cross-chain liquidity router, which will aggregate liquidity from multiple chains and swap bridges, to reduce the fragmentation we're trying to solve right now. And lastly is the real-time data oracles. So integrate with advanced oracles like Chainlink for real-time price feeds off-chain, on-chain. And they combine all of these three to deploy a decentralized AI-powered liquidity network. So in my opinion, this will fix the liquidity issue maybe once, but not maybe not for all, but it would definitely fix it to the larger extent.
Got you. That definitely ties into some of these questions that are coming in live as well in terms of, innovations or trends that you see in the space and how you're positioning yourself to lead in this evolving market. So I think you just beautifully summed that one up as well. I might jump into, we're coming up on 40 minutes here, guys. So I might just shoot one more at you. You were just talking about, Trust, you're talking about AI in your roadmap, obviously. So a question here, if AI gets powerful enough to optimize liquidity dynamically, do we still need market makers?
That's a good question. Do we still need market makers? Yeah, I think we do need market makers. Yeah, we do. Right. So why I would say yes that we do is because I think that why AI would definitely do a good job, but we still need some sets kind of I won't really say regulations, but we still need non-AI touch in certain things. But I don't think it's going to replace it, to be honest, right? It would definitely, do a lot better, but it won't disappear entirely. It's my take on that particular question.
Yeah, maybe I think maybe what Trust is alluding to is maybe we need more trust and transparency in AI before we can, give them the ability to fully optimize and manage liquidity. So maybe that's a problem for EXP chain and our ZKML solutions.
Absolutely. Put
Mhm.
that on the roadmap. Let's get that one ticked off. Now, beautiful, guys, beautiful. We might I know that you both again have a super busy day today. We still are getting some questions coming in. So I mean, Trust, where can people connect with you? Where can they get everything? Jump in the community and engage with any alt.
Yeah, so definitely the first point of contact would be the Eniot X account, which is Eniot Finance, and myself. So you can easily reach out to me on at I am Tija, like the stripped off.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Straight on the end of the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Our communities, I'm sure they're going to come and join you. And guys, in the community that are still with the questions rolling in, jump onto the NEOlt X. You can engage with them directly, and you can ask all the questions that we may not have gotten a chance to. But thank you so much, guys. I think we really got to a lot of it and a lot of love coming from the community. And we've just lost Trust, but thank you so much, Trust.
No, it's good. It's good.
Thanks,
awesome.
Trust.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
It's all
Have a
good.
good day,
All right,
everyone.
guys.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Bye.